Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to Cartoon Lover Productions, and today I'm going to be doing another tier list for you guys. Today I'm going to be ranking a series of movies that I absolutely love now. The last couple weeks I've been watching this movie franchise all the way through, and as of last night I have officially watched all 5 of these movies, and today we're going to be talking about the Final Destination movies, yes. So if you don't know what these are basically kind of stupid, kind of silly horror movies, or like sort of horror, sci-fi, even like comedy at times kind of movies. They're really gory. They're really kind of like overly, violent just to be overly violent, and they're, intentionally trying to be super, over the top because just purposely. But that's what makes them really fun, kind of silly movies. You don't really have to take them seriously, but some of them you can take seriously because the writing is amazing in some of these. But other ones are just absolute shit because the writing is just awful. But yeah, today I'm going to be ranking all 5 of them. Like I said last night, I officially just watched the 5th one, and it was incredible. So yeah, we're going to be ranking all of these today. So just a little bit of a kind of preview for what's coming up. I know I haven't been posting a lot of videos lately on this channel. I've just been busy with school and work and all that. But I have been working on a very special project for this channel that I'm going to be starting soon, hopefully, where I'm going to be ranking every single movie that I've ever watched my entire life. So yeah, I've been watching a ton of movies lately. I've been prepping, a lot for these lists. I've been doing things like that, and I have a whole list of movies that I plan on watching as well. So there's about 70 of those as well. I've gotten through about 20 of them, and still got a lot to go. But yeah, we're going to be doing that really soon, and I'm probably going to be doing tier lists, throughout all the different decades of movies that I've seen, for starting, from like the 30s to the 60s. That'll be a whole tier list, and then I'll do one on the 70s, 80s, 90s, etc., so on and so forth. And yeah, that should be a pretty fun project, but for now we're gonna not worry about that, and we're just gonna do something a little bit simpler, and I'm gonna be ranking all of these movies today. So basically the plot of these movies, if you don't know, again, like I said, they're really dumb and they're really stupid, but basically the plot of these is like, a bunch of people, a bunch of friends, usually about 20 years old or so. They go on like a trip or something, they do something, and basically before they do the thing that they're about to do, one of them has a vision that they're all going to die, and then basically their like kind of vision comes to life, and they warn the others that we have to get off this plane or whatever. So it's like the first one, they're on a plane, and they think that one of them has a vision that they're all going to die in a plane crash, and then he warns everyone, we got to get off the plane. And as soon as they get off, and as soon as the plane takes off, it explodes in the sky, and it's really cool. And then basically throughout the rest of the next couple days, one by one, each of the people that got off safely die in some really tragic, really over-the-top way. And most of the movies later on just kind of focus on those scenes rather than the actual story, because there really isn't a story after like the first couple. Spoiler, but yeah, pretty much that's the main plot of most of these movies. It's all about death. It's all about death is coming back to haunt us and whatever, so. But yeah, let's start off with the first one here, the first Final Destination movie, unofficially called Final Destination. And for me, I'm gonna put this one in the S tier. From this movie project that I've been doing of like watching all these really cool movies, this has been one of my favorite movies to watch so far. Just this one alone has just been one of my favorite movies, just kind of a spoiler. Some of the other ones that I really love that I've seen for the first time in the last couple of months. Couple older ones. The Graduate was a really good one. Casino. Harold and Maude was a really good one. The Big Chill. A couple random movies here and there that were just amazing that I really recommend to you guys. But yeah, Final Destination, the first one was amazing. I watched this one night, pretty much watched all these at night, like really late at like 3 a.m., lights turned down, watching them on DVD, they were just all incredible. And yeah, this one is by far my favorite because, the death scenes in this one, even on this one, the death scenes are really scary and actually like kind of shocking when you see them for the first time. But as the series goes on, they get way crazier with each movie. They get even more intense, which is kind of hard to believe because even in the first one, the death scenes are pretty gruesome at times. This one also has some of the best characters in the whole series, including my favorite character, played by Sean William Scott. I don't remember his character's name exactly, but his character is hilarious in this movie. He plays, kind of the stupid, dumb guy, whatever, and his death scene is just really tragic. I'm not going to spoil it in case you haven't seen these movies, but yeah, the death scenes in this movie are absolutely insane. But the writing in this movie is fantastic as well. The opening scene where they're taking off the plane, like I said, and then the plane explodes in the vision, and then in real life it explodes. That scene is probably my favorite scene of the whole series. It's in the first like 10 minutes of this movie. Just absolutely incredible. There really isn't much else I really have to say about this one. So, yeah, just other than the writing is really amazing. The writing in this one is the best of the whole series because, spoiler, the writing gets really bad as the series goes on. But for now, this one is definitely S tier. Moving on to the second one here, Final Destination 2. A lot of people really like this movie that are like huge fans of the series. I think it's a pretty good sequel that follows up to the previous one. Obviously, not all the characters are there because they're all dead pretty much. But there is one remaining character whose name I do not remember. It's some chick that was like the main chick in the first movie, and she's still alive. And spoiler, she dies in this movie. By the way, in case it's not obvious enough, pretty much all the movies have a different set of characters. So it's not like you see the same characters in each film. That really doesn't happen. And I kind of knew that after watching the first one. I thought, man, this movie is so good, but I really don't want to explore the sequels because I feel like they might not be all that great, and I feel like they're just going to really parody kind of the first one and just really just not have anything original to say. And I was kind of right, but also kind of wrong because this second one is pretty damn good. The opening scene is they're in a car crash, or there's a big like kind of car crash traffic accident that happens. It's really cool. And then some of the deaths in this one are pretty crazy as well. The one where the chick's in the elevator and where she gets like decapitated, that part's really messed up. And like some other like really crazy death scenes that are really kind of nerve-wracking when you watch it. Oops. Yeah, but overall pretty good movie. I'm gonna give it a B tier. Out of 10, I'd give this one like a 7, and the first one I'd give probably like a 9 or like 8.5. The first one is just absolutely awesome. But the second one does a pretty good job of following up the first one, so I'd say it's a pretty good sequel. But as for the third one is when it starts to get kind of shitty because it really just starts to get to the point of where, it's just another movie in this series, and it's not even like a sequel necessarily. It's just another film in the series that really doesn't follow any events that happen in the first movie at all. Like I said, it's just the same thing in each movie with a different set of characters, and it just doesn't have anything else original. And it's also at the point, like I said, where it just becomes really violent and really tragic just to be violent and tragic. It doesn't really have a story, in the later movies, especially the third one, because the third one is definitely my least favorite in the whole series. But overall, I'm going to give it a C tier. I think that most people kind of think that the second and third ones are kind of like stupid fun movies. If you really pay attention to these movies, a lot of people say that the first one is like just incredible on its own. The writing is amazing, and it's a great action movie. Whereas the rest of them, or at least these two, are like kind of stupid fun movies that you can just kind of laugh and joke about. And I agree, these have some fun moments and some scenes are actually like laugh out loud hilarious because of how stupidly over the top they are. But that's not really to say that they're good movies. They're just kind of entertaining, I guess is the right word to use. Especially the third one. Like I said, the death scenes are just over the top hilarious. And that's the only reason why it's really worthy of being in C tier, because if it wasn't like that, if it was just, a shitty ass movie, then it'd probably be like D or F tier, because the writing in this movie is absolutely horrible. There is like no story whatsoever. It just pretty much repeats the same exact thing that the previous ones did, and it has like nothing original to say. And like I said, the death scenes are just absolutely insane. Probably the most memorable death scene of these whole movies, because it was probably the most disturbing when I first saw it, was the girls in the tanning beds, where they're in. Basically, what happens is they're in the tanning beds and the catch on fire, and then they're trapped in there. Or something falls on the tanning beds and they can't get out, and they get burned alive. And then it like transitions, it like cuts perfectly from the two beds that are on fire to like the at the funeral with like the two coffins where they're in like the same spots and everything. I don't know, just a weird ass fucking scene, and really disturbing and really horrible, but at the same time really fun and kind of stupid and laughable. So that's what I think of the third one, as well as the fourth one, which I'm going to put in C tier as well. These two are like pretty much everything that I said before about the third one is relating to the fourth one. Deaths are over the top. The writing sucks. Blah blah blah. All that stuff that I said earlier. A lot of people say that the fourth one is the worst one. I don't think so. I think that 3 and 4 are tied for the worst, but they're not really bad necessarily, because like I said, they are really fun to watch still, but they are really stupid, and the writing is just absolute ass in these movies. So like if it was just for like story alone, these would probably be like F tier, if not even lower than that. But because they're like kind of stupid, fun, guilty pleasure movies, I'm gonna put them in C tier. But everything that I said about these movies is not at all applied to this movie, the fifth one, because the fifth one is just a major comeback for the series. The fifth one is absolutely amazing. And, I saw it last night, and I said right then and there, this might be the best film in this series of all time, because the main reason why is because the ending is the best ending to the of any of these movies, and is probably the most perfect ending you could ask for the series, because there really wasn't much of a story. But the fifth one, has a pretty interesting story and is more in depth than these two, for example. And also brings back Tony Todd, who is like, kind of the main memorable character in the first two movies. They bring him back in here, and they kind of take you back to the very first movie, which I won't spoil the ending, but it kind of just like takes you back in to the first movie in a way that, if you watch it, it'd make more sense. But yeah, the fifth one is amazing, and like I said, the death scenes are pretty stupid as well. But similar to these movies. But overall, it's just an awesome movie. The writing is amazing, the story's great, and everything. So I definitely got to put that one in S tier. And I like how the movie ends with, like I said, the ending where they take you back to the original one, and then like another scene where another character dies, and then it ends with AC/DC playing in the background. They have a montage of like all the previous death scenes in all the other movies. Just a really kick-ass ending. And like even like the opening shot where they have all the opening credits where the things are flying everywhere. I assume that this is probably made to be a 3D movie. That's probably why they have the kind of effects where they're like smashing the rocks in the thing, and the credits are flying everywhere. That's a really cool scene even without the 3D effect. But it's just a really cool opening shot, or opening scene rather. And yeah, just a great movie in the series. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this series. There's not a whole lot to talk about. I'm just kind of milking it for all that I can really say about these. But to recap, the top two here in the S tier, we have the first Final Destination movie and the fifth one. We have nothing in A tier. B tier, we have the second one. C tier, we have 3 and 4, which the fourth one's actually called The Final Destination, but no one ever calls it that because that's stupid. And then the D tier, we have nothing. Like I said, there's nothing that's really as awful, because like the third one is probably the worst in the series, but it's still pretty fun, I guess, to watch. And the poster is kind of cool also with the roller coaster. And Yeah, there's this one character that's hilarious in this one that, spoiler, dies like really quickly in the movie. Um, it always seems like in the later movies, the characters that are just absolute assholes. Like there's a character in the fourth one that's a real like racist, basically. That's like saying the N word and stuff. He's like the first like the first like death scene after the initial scene where they're at the racetrack. And by the way, yeah, this takes place at a racetrack, and this one's a roller coaster crash incident. But yeah, like I said, the third one, there's a character that's a real like perv that's all like taking pictures of girls and stuff. We're at this amusement park, and he's all taking like pictures of girls, and it's really creepy. And then he like dies. I don't know. It's just like the funniest thing ever. And probably the most memorable thing from the third movie was that one character, because most of the characters are pretty stupid in pretty much all the films except for the first one, because like all the characters are really cool in the first one. But after that, the rest of the characters are pretty bad, so or at least pretty unmemorable. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about these. I heard they're coming out with a sixth one, which I don't really know why, because the way that the fifth one ends is just amazing and just should not be touched, I think. But, if it's a major Hollywood cash grab kind of series, and of course they're going to make reboots and sequels and everything, that's really the only reason why we have like 10,000 Saw films, because, they're so popular for some reason. Even though that's another series I'm kind of getting into as well. I saw the first one a couple months ago, and it was absolutely incredible. But we'll talk about that movie another time. So yeah, the Final Destination movie tier. If you guys want to see characters, let me know. I'll probably do characters as well. And if you want to see like death scenes also, because again, that's like the main reason why people watch these movies, is to see the intense, crazy death scenes. I'll be happy to do that as well. But other than that, that's pretty much all I have to say about this tier list. So yeah,